but them views, they are amazing.
BJ, man, your turn, man. I'm gonna let you jump up to this, learnings over these last 90 plus days that we've been out.
I guess the first one I'm gonna add on to what the first was just saying, because again, this season, I'm gonna call it this season of life, has seen much sickness and much death. In this circle and just in my circle in general. My circle is really not that big. I know a lot of people, but the circle is not that big. And the sickness and death has been a major player the last 3-4 months. And it's just, it takes a toll on you personally. When you're trying to be there for everybody else. But I can say the beauty is that you are able to be there for everybody else, right? Because there's a lot of people who aren't here because of that, right? Or don't have the time, like first, like stuff like, look, I'm off. What do we need to do? I'm taking off. What do we need to do? Like, I didn't have that luxury of doing that a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. Like now it's like, I may make a call, I'm gonna send an email. Like, no, I got something to handle. I'll get back with y'all later on. And we're gonna make something, I gotta go make something else happen. So one of the lessons is count your blessings, because there's a lot of things that happen in life and they happen for a reason. You may not know it right then and there, but later on down the line, when things are shown to you, like you have the time, you have the resources, you have the ability to do some stuff and make moves that you really didn't have just a year ago, 6 months ago, right? So those are blessings in disguise. Other than that, man, it's just been a blessing to see my kids. Like, they astound me every time they do something. Like, yeah, I have my frustration time, but they do some great things. They're just good people, right? And I say that as a dad, but they're just good people, right? Mm-hmm. So last year coming out of COVID, back, our church normally goes on mission trips, youth mission trips. So they go all over the world, right? But the last couple of years, because of COVID, that had been shut down. So we got word back in late December, early January, there was going to be one trip this year, and they were going to London. It's a mission trip, and really didn't know the scope of what they were going to do or who they're going to be interacting with, but they knew they were going to London. So fast forward, so Mason, being in high school, he was invited to go. Well, there weren't enough high schoolers that qualified to go, because there's certain qualifications you got to meet. You have to be serving in a ministry. You have to already, you can't just show up. They have to be doing something, right? Learning and growing. So it wasn't a high schooler. So the twins were asked to go as well because of the work they've already been doing and the relationships they have already. So all three got to go on their first mission trip together, which for us was a blessing. First, so all together. Two, for my sanity, because Gina was already going to trip out. Mason was going somewhere by himself. And then if they were going to different places, normally siblings don't go to the same place. Oh, they split siblings up to give them that independence. Like, so I'm not dependent on my brother, my sister for everything I do. I start learning some independence. But I think for everybody, this being their first trip together made a huge difference, a huge impact. So they went to London. They were there for 15 days. They were gone for a total of 18 days. First 2 days were like training, but they traveled total for like 15, 16 days. And you just saw a difference when they returned. Like, what did they do? So it wasn't like when the people go on a mission trip, they're not out in the bush and come out, like literally, they were in London. They ran a kids club, more like a vacation Bible school for a church who did not have a youth group at all. They don't really have youth leaders. So at them coming out of 8th grade, going into high school, and Mason moving up to his junior year, I say he moved up to his junior year, Jesus. They were actually conducting a vacation Bible school kids club for youth over there in London, right? At a site. And to the point where they were out in the community during the day, like, where all these new people come from, these Americans come from. Like, kids would just see them out, and kids was like, Mom, I want to go see what they're doing tonight. And they drew kids from the community just because of their presence. They were playing with kids. I mean, they got technology nowadays. They got numbers for kids, WhatsApp numbers for kids, communication from kids over in London. Like, they're starting to make contacts across the pond, you say. It is really.
I see the slang, you London bloke.
Right, exactly.
they're just they're maturing in their own way, right? And they each came back with a different takeaway, though. It wasn't like they all had this epiphany about whatever it is. Like they each had their own time where we sat down and discussed one-on-one with them, Gina and I, about like what they take away, what their biggest takeaways were, and they're very reflective on what they did, right? So for me, it really is just seeing them mature. And again, is this something they're going to do every year? They have the opportunity, but they have to choose. I would never just send them over there, right? They have to choose to go. But we made a commitment if they choose to go, that again, just like when we went to Alaska, the trip ain't free. And we sent all three of them. We were blessed to have some resources from outside help us out. But again, it's giving them opportunity and experiences. They beat me across the pond. Like I've never been over there myself. Like, but giving them opportunities to experience stuff that I never did, that's what I'm working for. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, a lot of more work to do. I'm excited about the opportunity. Like one this year, I think one opportunity may be to Peru. I think one is going back. One to Peru is on the fence. I think London again, and there's a third site they're looking at. So we should have confirmation in the next month or two, like what the sites are and who may be going to what site. So I'm just excited for them to experience the world, man. Because like I told them, everything that was going on here in the States, like get out and see the world.
Yeah, it's not expense, it's experience. If you don't give them that opportunity and take advantage of that opportunity yourself. Nothing changed me like going to Haiti. Like you don't understand until you experience something. You can see pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff, but when you really go and experience how people live in different areas, it changes you, and it helps you value things that you in a sense took for granted.
I think you have to do it consistently. Wherever you're going to do, you're traveling, that mindset of going somewhere else and then seeing how people live and how people work with what they have consistently over time. So it can't be a once a year trip. You got to have that like every couple of months to keep yourself grounded, because you come back wherever it is and you're like completely, oh, I don't need this stuff. I can do whatever I got to do. And that tends to fade over some time. But re-engaging that and going somewhere else gets that click going. And just that was a big deal. Big deal. And it does make a difference when you're going somewhere. You're not just on the resort, but you actually get off and do things. Or you're not just going to the club or a party, but actually to do something for somebody else. Big things.
I think it definitely helps increase perspective. It changes the channel that you're kind of tuned into and the programming that you're getting. Once you move someplace else or go visit someplace else, that programming kind of changes.
Your scope changes, right? Like,
and I think there's also an important piece to understand not just your place in the world. And when I say your place, I don't mean in a make you smaller type feeling.
Oh yeah.
But understanding your ability and helping form who you are.
So that was it. Like, so I'll share Madison's takeaway because I've shared it publicly before. Like, I had to sit with what she shared that night and like really take it in, because her biggest takeaway was that people were just so appreciative that they were there. As kids, as youth. I mean, I'm saying kids, as youth. That how many other parents just saw them and found out why they were there and thanked them for coming and just thanked them for being a presence around the youth that were there. Like, that was her biggest takeaway. She's like, well, we just went to go serve, and like that's what we were supposed to do, right? Like, not having the context about anything. Context for me, I have no idea what was going on in that community, what was going on.
Right.
I don't know if this is the first thing since everybody had been locked down. And London was under different COVID protocols anyway, so they were a lot more stricter with stuff and lockdown. So I don't know what it was, but for her, it drove to a point of emotional. Like when she's talking about it, like to have somebody, one of those that mother, like pull her aside and said, "Thank you all for coming. Like we really appreciate you being there." Like it has been checking up on her. Like we coming to mind, we're coming to find you. We're gonna come see where you guys are at and come visit you. Like that for her was like, wow, there's people out there that really care about the stuff that we're doing. I'm doing this stuff because I want to, but people really do care. And it's making a difference in people's lives.
I think she found even more worth because she has amazing worth. You teach her that, you teach her that, but that being out there and showing that my time, my presence means something to somebody else coming back here now, there's nothing anyone can say that she's gonna be like, no, I matter. Like me being here, me being my energy, my communication, my message matters. And it may be too big for you who are I'm now worldwide.
Amen. I got a passport stamp to prove it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to get them passports, like
yeah.
That in itself. Like, not that other kids don't have passports, but I didn't get a passport till
I was in college.
You still beat me. I got mine like 3-4 years ago.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
That's good though, man. Listen, that's what
when we went to Jamaica. That was the first time I used my passport. So that's about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
For Bang's funeral. That's the first time I used my passport.
Amazing.